I'm going to show you guys how I made my easy and delicious ground beef tostadas. For the ingredients, we're going to need 1 tablespoon of chili powder, 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, 1.5 teaspoon of ground cumin, 1 teaspoon of paprika, 1 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, 1 teaspoon of oregano, 1 teaspoon of black pepper, and salt to taste. I used about 2 teaspoons. We're also going to need about 2 pounds of ground beef, Roman tomato, and 1 small onion along with 1 garlic clove chopped. I'm just going to add some oil to my pan and just mix it for about a minute to a minute and a half. I'm going to add in my ground beef now. If you guys wanted to use more ground beef to make more food, to make more like tostadas, you could just double the recipe and double the seasonings for the meat. But I'm just going to chop up my meat. I'm just going to chop up my meat really fine. And I'm just going to add in my seasonings now and mix that well. I'm just going to chop up my ground beef into small pieces, making sure every piece of meat gets cooked. I'm just going to keep mixing until my meat starts cooking more. As you see here, my meat is almost done. I'm just going to continue to chop it into smaller pieces. I'm going to transfer my ground beef into my glass bowl. And this is how my meat looks once it's cooked. I'm just going to set it to the side. Next, I'm just going to make some pico de gallo. So here I have 3 tomatoes, a small bunch of cilantro, 1 jalapeno, and 1 small onion, along with a half a teaspoon of salt and a half a teaspoon of black pepper. I'm just going to pour over the juice of 2 limes, and I'm just going to mix my pico de gallo until everything is mixed well. And this is how my pico de gallo looked. I just set it in the fridge while I worked on my salsa verde. So I just added 3 tomatillos, 2 serrano, half of a small onion. As you see, that garlic clove was bad, so I got rid of that. I added in 1 garlic clove, once my tomatillo, serrano pepper, and onions, along with my garlic, was done boiling, I just transferred it into my blender, along with 1 cup of water in total. And I also added in a little bit of salt. I did 2 pinches of salt. And I added in a small bunch of cilantro. And I also added in a little bit of chicken bouillon with another 1/2 cup of water. Another 1/2 cup of water. And I'm just going to put the top on and blend it. And once my salsa was done, this is how it looked. This is how it came out. It was super delicious. And yeah, I just covered my salsa and then placed it in the fridge until I was done with dinner. Next, I'm just going to make some frijoles. So I already boiled my frijoles with just water, 2 pieces of garlic, and 1/2 of a jalapeno. And I season it with salt, a little bit of chicken bouillon, a little bit of onion powder, and garlic powder. But I'm just going to transfer my frijoles into my blender. And this is how I make my smooth refried beans. And they always come out so delicious. You guys should try this recipe. But I'm just going to add all of my beans into my blender. And I'm going to add some of my juices to my beans so that they blend, so that they won't have a hard time blending. But I'm just going to add some liquid to my beans, so it's an easy blend. And now I blended my beans. I'm just going to add about 2 tablespoons of butter. And I'm just going to add some olive oil to my pan or pot. I'm just going to move my pot around, melting the butter. I'm going to add in 1 serrano and 1/2 of a small onion. And I'm just going to mix this. And this is the key. This is a big step in making your frijoles. You want to cook this and making sure not to burn it, because if you burn it, it's not going to be good. But yeah, I just cooked this for about 1.5 minutes, and then I added in my smooth frijoles. And I'm just going to mix my frijoles. I'm going to add a few pinches of salt. And when you guys are adding salt to your food, like if you're adding salt to your frijoles, make sure you guys are tasting as you go. You don't want to add too much at one time, and then your beans are salty. But I'm just going to sprinkle in a little bit of cumin. I'm just going to mix it. And at this point, I turned my eye off because the beans are already cooked and we don't want them to like burn or stick. I'm just adding a little bit more salt. I had tasted my frijoles off camera. I'm just going to mix. And this is how I made my smooth frijoles. It's very smooth and delicious. After making my frijoles, I'm just going to add some oil to my pan so I can fry my tortillas for the tostadas. But this is the brand I'm using. I'm just going to take out some. I'm just going to poke holes in it. And I'm just going to do this all around the tortilla. Making sure not to tear my tortilla. But after I did that one, I just added it to the plate. And I'm going to continue to do the rest of the tortillas. But I'm just going to add my tortillas to my frying oil. And I have my pan on medium heat. I'm just going to move my tortilla around and cook it on both sides until it's golden brown. But I just flipped my tortilla constantly. And this is how my first tortilla looked. I'm just going to add it back in there on the other side. And now it's done. So I'm going to remove it from the grease. And I'm going to add it to my pan. And I'm just going to continue this process with the remaining tortillas I have. I'm just going to do the same thing that I did to the other one. I'm just going to flip it. And on this side, it's golden. And I'm going to let the other side get golden brown as well. I'm just going to remove my tortilla. And these are all my tortillas, all done. So for the toppings, I'm going to be using the pico de gallo that I made earlier. I'm also going to be using salsa verde and some lettuce. And I also use some mozzarella cheese. But I'm just going to place my tostada down. I'm going to add some frijoles. I'm just going to spread that onto my tostada. And I'm going to add my meat. And you guys can add as much meat as you want. The more meat, the better. But I'm just going to add my meat. And I'm going to add my queso. I'm just going to place some lettuce on top, along with my pico de gallo. And pico de gallo is much needed for this recipe. It's just so delicious. And you can have a tostada, well, this kind of tostada without pico de gallo. This was really good. And I'm going to add my salsa verde, and this is how I made my ground beef tostadas. I hope you guys try this recipe. I hope you guys subscribe and like this video. Adios.